Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 237 based on novel. So let's start. The hunt didn't stop, and it became even more intense. Countless cultivators flew like meteors as they chased after Wang Lin. Wang Lin's figure reappeared in the void. He staggered when he appeared and coughed out another mouthful of blood with a pale expression. His eyes were gloomy and his killing intent was even stronger. If I didn't have the ancient god leather armor, I would have died. Wang Lin rushed out several dozen feet before he merged with the world and quickly fled. There was no longer any blockade ahead, so the origin energy in the area with calm. However, Wang Lin didn't directly escape from pursuers behind him. Wang Lin knew that as long as that woman was hunting him, the other side would eventually catch up. Moreover, even without that woman, Wang Lin still wouldn't choose to escape so far that the cultivators couldn't catch up to him. Wang Lin adhered by a simple principle: if others don't offend me, I won't offend them. If they offend me, I'll kill them. The cultivators hunting him had already ignited his anger. How could he let them go so easily? If you want to kill me, you must pay a price. Wang Lin's eyes were extremely cold. His body flickered and he merged with the world. Countless cultivators hunting Wang Lin rushed past the boundary between the western and northern domains. They used various spells to speed themselves up while pursuing Wang Lin. The killing intent they gave off was like an unsheathed sword that was closing in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the northern domain. This was the first place he appeared when he came from the Alliance star system. His mood didn't fluctuate at all and his divine sense spread out, searching for something. A moment later, Wang Lin's expression changed and a ripple appeared behind him. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to take a step forward and disappear. The moment Yao Bing Yun appeared, Wang Lin disappeared. Yao Bing Yun's face was filled with killing intent. She let out a cold snort and continued chasing. It didn't take long before rays of light flew by. They were the cultivators and Yao family members hunting Wang Lin. Along the way, Wang Lin didn't move too far, because he was waiting for these cultivators. His heart was filled with killing intent. He wasn't going to let any of them go and he wanted to catch them all at once. This was especially true for the cold woman who could also merge with the world. Only then would he have some time to rest. Otherwise, with these people pursuing him, he wouldn't even have time to rest. Wang Lin had also decided that he wasn't going to let the families of these cultivators go. He had already warned them, but they were still determined to kill him. Since that was the case, they had to be willing to pay the price. As his powerful killing intent brewed, Wang Lin's eyes became even colder. In the northern domain, Wang Lin began appearing much more than before. Every time he appeared, he would begin searching. However, he would immediately withdraw his divine sense as he couldn't waste any time before he merged with the world again. If he was a bit slow, that woman would catch up. As a result, his speed slowed down by a lot. The pursuing cultivators gradually flew across the northern domain. However, the cultivators from the northern domain began to hesitate. Some of them had even chosen to quit. Seeing the planets that were slaughtered in the western domain had shocked them. However, although it was shocking, it didn't affect them at the time. But at this moment, if that Shumu were to go crazy here, the consequence would be unimaginable. With this in mind, the cultivation family members from the northern domain stayed in the back and slowly left. However, there were still people that naively hunted Wang Lin even though their families were in the northern domain. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the center of the northern domain close to the 5 main planets. He was very familiar with this area, especially planet Renyun where he lived for almost 100 years. Even though he had returned here, he had no time to feel melancholy. His divine sense spread out and his eyes immediately lit up, revealing a look of excitement. Found it! It was still in the northern domain. Wang Lin's body flickered and he charged toward the 5 main planets. In the northern domain, an extra thing had appeared next to the 5 main planets. Many cultivators saw this as a huge, oval life form. It had countless tentacles extending from its body and was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, It didn't injure anyone. When it arrived next to the 5 main planets, its body contracted and turned into a planet. In the years that passed, countless debris in space were attracted and a thin layer of Earth had formed over the surface. Looking from a distance, it was no different from a cultivation planet. However, the cultivators from the northern domain knew that this wasn't a cultivation planet and that it shouldn't be provoked. Even when they passed by, they would go far around it and didn't dare to step onto the planet. A dense, black fog gradually surrounded the planet and gave off a cold aura. In the past several years, this had basically become a forbidden zone in the northern domain. It was the moongazer serpent from back then. On this day, Wang Lin's figure appeared outside the planet formed by the moongazer serpent. He looked at the moongazer serpent with a cautious gaze, but he didn't hesitate to charge into the fog. When he entered the fog surrounding the moongazer serpent, Yao Bing Yun appeared. She stared at the fog around the moongazer serpent and frowned. He lured everyone this whole way, so he must be up to something. Yao Bing Yun's eyes lit up as if her gaze could penetrate the fog and see inside. Just at this moment, rays of light came in from the distance. The cultivators and the Yao family members hunting Wang Lin arrived. The cultivators from the northern domain already had a bad feeling. When they saw the planet formed by the moongazer serpent, their expressions became gloomy. This thing isn't a cultivation planet but a strange beast. I personally saw this beast turn into a planet. Although this thing has no offensive capabilities, it is still not anything good. Could that Shumu have lured us here to use that thing to kill us? Yao Bing Yun didn't act rashly but cautiously observed. At this moment, Wang Lin directly pierced through the black fog and arrived above the moongazer serpent. The ground was filled with cracks and the tentacles swayed side to side. It was as if not much had changed since then. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and he rushed into the moongazer serpent's body. He followed the path he took before and headed to where the moongazer serpent's bone was. Come and attack me. As long as you all anger the moongazer serpent, then everything will be resolved. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a grim light. As soon as the Yao family and the other cultivation families began hunting Wang Lin, he had the idea of borrowing the moongazer serpent's power. The moongazer serpent was very strong and had left a deep impression in Wang Lin's mind. If the moongazer serpent became angry, what were the Yao family and other cultivation families worth? Wang Lin was moving extremely fast, not caring about whether he would awaken the moongazer at all. He charged straight for where the bone was. It didn't take long before he arrived within the depths and saw the half of the bone that came back here. Wang Lin originally wanted to take the whole thing but was forced to give up half of it. His eyes lit up and muttered, back then, greed's treasured large furnace was devoured by this moongazer serpent. Thinking about the large furnace, Wang Lin's heart pounded. After thinking about it, he was 80% confident that it was the treasure ancient god Tusai refined but casually threw away because he wasn't satisfied with it. If it was any other time, Wang Lin wouldn't think about the large furnace. After all, the moongazer serpent was simply too terrifying. Once it awakened, it would cause a catastrophe. However, right now there were many cultivators outside to help vent the moongazer serpent's anger, so Wang Lin clenched his teeth and made a choice. His body flickered and continued moving through the moongazer serpent, but he had his divine sense spread out. Wang Lin knew that the inside of the moongazer serpent wasn't safe and was filled with small moongazer serpents. When he tried to pry the bone before, he ran into a small moongazer serpent and it took a lot of effort to escape it. At this moment, countless cultivators surrounded the planet. These cultivators were well aware of how ruthless Shumu was. This was engraved in their bones throughout their pursuit. If they were a bit careless, they would die. When they saw Wang Lin enter the planet, the first thing they thought was that something was strange about this place. In addition, with the discussion from the cultivators from the northern domain, everyone knew that this planet was a mysterious beast. One of the middle-aged men from the Yao family sneered as he stared at the moongazer serpent with disdain. Even if this is a beast, so what? Not only does it have no offensive capabilities, even if it does, we can kill it if we all attack together. There were many fierce beasts recorded in the Yao family's records. Some of them were even more fierce than this one, but in the end they still died under the combined attack of Celestials. And there was no record of this beast in the family's records. That meant that this beast was not a threat, otherwise, it would have been in the records inherited by the family. It isn't difficult to kill this beast. Yao Yunhai withdrew his gaze. He was a third-generation Yao family member. Although his cultivation level wasn't high, only peak corporeal yang, he was extremely proud. In his eyes, the Moongazer serpent wasn't worthy. Yao Bing Yun stared at the black fog formed by the Moongazer serpent. Her eyes lit up and she charged directly at the black fog. Her movement acted as the lead. After she charged in, those who had powerful cultivation all charged into the black fog alongside her. Yao Yunhai was one of them. He stood on the flying sword under him and flew into the black fog. More and more cultivators gradually charged into the black fog. Aside from a few people, everyone's eyes shined brightly. They spread out their divine senses inside the black fog, and after finding no danger, they charged through. When they broke through the black fog, what appeared before them were the countless swaying tentacles. This scene caused the people who charged in to be startled. However, everyone soon scattered to search for traces of Wang Lin. Some of them even entered the depths of the planet to look for Wang Lin. Yao Bing Yun landed on the ground with a step and sank into the ground. The moment she sank in, she had a bad feeling. Everything around her felt extremely strange. This feeling became stronger and stronger the deeper she went. What kind of beast is this? Yao Bing Yun wasn't the only person who sank into the ground. Yao Yunhai also went underground. He rampaged through without a care as he headed straight down, and there were a few cultivators following him. Not all of the cultivators entered the planet formed by the Moongazer serpent. There was still a large amount of cultivators outside, surrounding the planet. Among them were Yao family members who looked at the planet with glowing eyes. With so many cultivators entering the planet, it caused a ripple to appear on the planet. This ripple was very weak. If one wasn't paying attention, it would be hard to notice it. Even people inside wouldn't be able to clearly feel it, they would feel that the pressure suddenly increased a bit. However, this ripple caused Wang Lin, who was moving through the Moongazer serpent, to suddenly stop. Wang Lin revealed a grim smile and muttered, "There are signs of awakening. This Moongazer serpent has not been sleeping for long, so with a little stimulation, it will awaken. Let me help you awaken faster." Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he charged forward toward the top of the Moongazer serpent's bone. This was a sensitive spot for the Moongazer serpent. Back then, he did everything he could to prevent the Moongazer serpent from awakening, but now the situation was different. As he moved, his expression changed. He looked up and killing intent filled his eyes, then he charged up. Yao Yunhai had an arrogant expression as his divine sense rampaged around the area while he charged down. However, at this moment, a chilly aura suddenly appeared, causing his expression to change. He immediately stopped and the few cultivators following him quickly caught up. A crack suddenly appeared behind those cultivators and a chilly aura came out from within. A 1,000-foot-long Moongazer serpent charged out like a ray of lightning. The large amount of tentacles moving around its body was quite shocking. This Moongazer serpent was too fast. When it charged out, it devoured one cultivator before anyone had time to respond, then its body smashed into another. That cultivator coughed out blood and his eyes were filled with terror. He disregarded his body and his origin soul flew into the earth. This happened too fast and occurred in only an instant. Yao Yunhai's pupils shrank and all the hair on his body stood up. He retreated without hesitation and both of his hands formed a seal and he was about to cast a spell. However, while his attention was completely focused on the Moongazer serpent before him, Wang Lin appeared from the earth behind him. Wang Lin's fingers landed directly on Yao Yunhai's back. When Yao Yunhai noticed, it was already too late. He decisively gave up on his body and was about to escape with his origin soul. However, Wang Lin had already prepared for this. At this moment, his right hand was filled with origin energy and he reached out. Just as Yao Yunhai was about to resist, the Karma Whip lashed out, causing Yao Yunhai to let out a miserable groan. Wang Lin didn't waste any time. He kicked Yao Yunhai's body, sending a large amount of origin energy inside. Yao Yunhai's body exploded into a blood mist and created an origin energy shock wave that knocked the Moongazer serpent back a little. Then Wang Lin borrowed this force and disappeared. After grabbing Yao Yunhai's origin soul, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to put it inside the soul flag in his bag. He didn't stop at all and disappeared in a flash. The 1,000-foot-long Moongazer serpent charged out from behind him and a cold aura filled the area. After searching for a while, it opened its mouth and sucked in all of Wang Lin's remaining aura. All of the tentacles on its body wrapped around itself as if it was enjoying itself. However, a moment later, this Moongazer serpent closed its mouth, twisted its body, and disappeared into the earth. In the distance, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light and he headed toward the tip of the Moongazer serpent's bone. He was very cautious along the way. Whenever he noticed something was off, he would quickly change directions and hide himself. Wang Lin pondered, although the inside of the Moongazer serpent is dangerous, with my understanding, and as long as I'm careful, there should be no danger. Compared to outside, this place is much safer. Since that is the case, why don't I stay hidden inside the Moongazer serpent? That way, if the Yao family wants to kill me, they must first face the Moongazer serpent. Wang Lin revealed a cold smile as he quickly charged ahead. The Moongazer serpent was too big. It was also impossible to teleport inside it, and adding on the fact he had to be careful, even though Wang Lin's speed was fast, it was still a bit slow. As he moved, his expression suddenly changed and he dodged to the side without hesitation. Just as he dodged, a blue ice crystal flew past where Wang Lin was like lightning. When it passed by, it almost touched Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin could clearly feel the cold energy within the ice crystal. That cold energy somehow drilled into his body and made Wang Lin's body feel stiff. "You can't escape." A voice slowly echoed as a 100-foot gap opened in the earth and Yao Bing Yun walked out. Her eyes were filled with killing intent as she stared coldly at Wang Lin and coldly said, "You massacred innocent cultivators across the Western domain. Today, I, Yao Bing Yun, will take your life." Wang Lin quickly retreated and gathered origin energy in his hands. He hit his body a few times and dissolved all the cold energy inside him. At the same time, he spat out a mouthful of essence origin energy. The essence origin energy turned into a sword and shot straight toward Yao Bing Yun. Yao Bing Yun's expression was cold as her right hand formed a seal and pointed forward. A ray of blue light appeared and gathered at her fingertip. Then everything before her froze in a flash and the ice continued to spread. Even the essence origin energy spat out by Wang Lin was mercilessly frozen after flying for few dozen feet. Seeing the ice closing in, Wang Lin's expression became gloomy and he didn't hesitate to retreat. He knew that this person was too strong and he had no chance at winning. Killing intent flashed across Yao Bing Yun's eyes and her hand touched the ice before her. Her body disappeared without a trace. Ice escape. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he felt a strong sense of danger. He opened his mouth and spat out the celestial sealing stamp without any hesitation to block for him. The moment the celestial sealing stamp appeared, Yao Bing Yun appeared before Wang Lin after moving through the ice and her finger pressed down. Yao Bing Yun's finger used all her power. As she pointed down, a blood rune appeared and spread across the celestial sealing stamp from her finger. 10 cycle soul damage seal. Yao Bing Yun's hand lifted and quickly formed seals. 9 seals quickly caused 9 blood red runes to appear. They all fell on the celestial sealing stamp one after the other. These blood red runes were very strange. They ignored the existence of the celestial sealing stamp and charged through toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he shouted, "Seal!" With one word, the hundreds of thousands of gold runes appeared, forming seals. Among them were 2 with very powerful auras. The golden runes continued to weaken the power of the 10 cycle soul damage seal. However, the 10 cycle soul damage seal was too strong and almost instantly penetrated the seals. Although it had been reduced from 10 cycles to 4 cycles, it landed on Wang Lin's chest like lightning. It pierced through his body and split into 4 rays of red light that charged toward his origin soul. Popping sound came from inside Wang Lin's body. His face turned pale, but his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. He retreated with the celestial sealing stamp. In an instant, he retreated very far. Still not dead. Yao Bing Yun's phoenix eyes shined brightly. This Shumu was extremely strange. If he had escaped last time death due to luck, then it was barely explained. However, this time she had used her full power and still wasn't able to kill a corporeal young cultivator. This made her eyes narrow. He must have a celestial treasure that protects the origin soul. Yao Bing Yun sneered as she stepped forward. The ice behind her continued to spread behind her toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's origin soul was shaken as he stared at the pursuing Yao Bing Yun with killing intent. He lifted his right hand and chopped down. Heavenly Chop suddenly appeared, but it wasn't targeted at Yao Bing Yun but the layer of mud to the side. The mud collapsed with a bang. The moongazer serpent likes silence and hates noise. Wang Lin knew the moongazer serpent's habits, so he continued to bombard the layers of mud next to him. Yao Bing Yun's eyes revealed a hint of ridicule. If it was outside, she wouldn't be able to catch up. After all, in terms of their abilities to use spatial bend, she admired this Shumu greatly. However, in here it was impossible to teleport and impossible to merge with the world. If she wanted to catch up, it would be too easy. A blue light appeared under her feet and in a flash she moved. Although it wasn't teleportation, her speed was just as fast and she immediately caught up. However, just as she caught up and her right hand formed a seal, she noticed that Shumu's eyes were extremely calm without a hint of panic. Yao Bing Yun was surprised, but she didn't have time to think and directly attacked. Just at this moment, an unimaginably cold aura suddenly appeared from the mud layers Wang Lin was attacking. A 1,000-foot-long moongazer serpent suddenly charged out toward Yao Bing Yun and Wang Lin. What is this? Yao Bing Yun hadn't encountered a moongazer serpent until now. The moongazer serpent's hideous appearance and its body covered in hair caused Yao Bing Yun's mind to tremble. The moongazer serpent's aura wasn't any weaker than a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. The moment the moongazer serpent appeared, Wang Lin immediately withdrew his aura. This was his last resort. The moment it appeared, it would cause chaos, and only then would he gain the chance to escape. Wang Lin had been prepared for the moongazer serpent's pursuit. After all, the moongazer serpent's objective couldn't be guessed. There was a 50% chance it would chase after Yao Bing Yun, but also a 50% chance it would charge at him. The moongazer serpent that suddenly appeared twisted its body and the hair on its body stood up. It was extremely fast, and what made Wang Lin feel bitter was that it didn't even look at Yao Bing Yun before charging at him. Yao Bing Yun's hand had already formed a seal, but after seeing this, she stopped. Instead, she followed after the moongazer serpent that was chasing Wang Lin. Wang Lin continued to retreat and the celestial sealing stamp rotated rapidly, creating a force to stop the person and beast chasing him. All of the hair on the 1,000-foot moongazer serpent stood up as if it was very excited. As it chased Wang Lin, it had its big mouth opened, constantly swallowing and revealing a very comfortable expression. This scene made Wang Lin startled. At this moment, Yao Bing Yun's eyes were filled with killing intent. She took a step forward, past the moongazer serpent and went toward Wang Lin. When she arrived before Wang Lin, her two fingers released a rich, blue light and she ruthlessly pointed them at Wang Lin. Before Wang Lin could resist, the moongazer serpent suddenly let out an angry roar. All the hair on its body immediately extended and shot toward Yao Bing Yun. It was as if Yao Bing Yun was about to steal something it liked. The moongazer serpent had many tentacles, and they all charged out. Its main body also charged straight at Yao Bing Yun. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he revealed a decisive gaze. He gave up on retreating and raised his right hand. The Wither Dao pair immediately appeared on the back of his hand and came out. The hideous beast bone released a ghostly glow and an evil aura immediately filled the area. Yao Bing Yun's expression was gloomy. Before her was Wang Lin, but behind her was the crazed beast. She really didn't understand. This beast was clearly attacking Shumu, but when she decided to help, why did it attack her instead? The evil aura was very dense and a grey light appeared at Yao Bing Yun's feet. At the same time, the moongazer serpent's tentacles closed in and its large body directly smashed toward her. Yao Bing Yun clenched her teeth and her hand formed a seal without hesitation, causing a blue core to appear. The core immediately gave off a cold aura. When Yao Bing Yun pointed her seal upward, the blue core gave off extreme coldness. In an instant, layers of ice appeared like crazy with Yao Bing Yun at the center. It spread so fast that even the grey light from the withered Dao pair was frozen. Even more than half of the moongazer serpent's tentacles were frozen. However, at this moment, roars came from all directions. Following that, for more 1,000-foot-long moongazer serpents charged out toward Yao Bing Yun. Yao Bing Yun's expression immediately turned pale and her eyes overflowed with terror. She grabbed the blue core and retreated without hesitation. Just as she retreated, killing intent flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. He had always been a decisive and bold person. Now his eyes narrowed and a mouthful of essence origin energy gathered in his body and he charged out. Casting as fast as he could, Wang Lin's finger formed a sword and he used Call the Wind and pointed forward. Call the Wind. The black wind appeared, forming a storm that charged toward Yao Bing Yun. At the same time, the moongazer serpents arrived and trapped Yao Bing Yun while roaring. Yao Bing Yun's expression was deathly pale. Never in her countless years of cultivating had she faced such a crisis. She looked at the core in her hand and her heart ached. However, she clenched her teeth and crushed it without hesitation. The moment the blue core was crushed by her, a crazy power exploded from within. This power was too fast, and it formed an ice vortex. As it spread, everything within it froze. This power spread through the cracks in the earth, and in an instant, everything within thousands of kilometers was covered in tiny layers of ice coming out from the cracks in the earth. Ice escape! Yao Bing Yun's left hand formed a seal and she quickly rushed out. Using the ice created by the vortex, Yao Bing Yun could escape anywhere that had ice. The moment Yao Bing Yun's figure disappeared and after Wang Lin used Call the Wind, he didn't hesitate and pointed at Yao Bing Yun. Stop! Yao Bing Yun's body suddenly stopped, then almost at the same time, she returned to normal and disappeared. However, that pause allowed the black wind to penetrate the ice. There was a muffled groan that gradually faded into the void. Killing intent flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. As the ice spread toward him, he withdrew the celestial sealing stamp and quickly left without looking back. Not long after, as Wang Lin carefully avoided danger, he arrived at the top of the moongazer serpent's bone. Here was where the nerve connection between the bone and the moongazer serpent was. After arriving here, Wang Lin became even more cautious. Originally, the connection between the bone and the moongazer serpent was supposed to be tightly sealed. However, due to him removing the bone before, there were many gaps he could move through. These gaps were very subtle for the moongazer serpent, but to Wang Lin, they were like cannons. His body flickered and he entered the gaps. The moment he entered, he suddenly paused. Before him were spider web-like red threads. These threads seemed to go on endlessly and covered the entire area. Wang Lin pondered and carefully stepped forward. He stared at the countless red threads before him as he lifted his right hand, pinched one of the threads, and mercilessly pulled. The entire planet formed by the moongazer serpent suddenly shook. It caused a lot of dust to be kicked into the air and even the black fog suddenly shrank. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he no longer hesitated. He lifted his right hand and multiple heavenly drops shot out. The red lines were cut and violent shaking came from the moongazer serpent's body. The moongazer serpent's vibrations became even more intense as the black fog around it was all sucked back in. Large amounts of the dirt it had tracked were scattered due to the shaking of the moongazer serpent. A roar that seemed to come from ancient times came through from the moongazer serpent's body. This video will end here.